Coding is a website, a platform in Nigeria where kids can learn programming, animations, website development, and Microsoft Excel. And our co-founders are from, one of our co-founders is from Nigeria. Her name is Aziza Otulana. And we also have a co-founder from India, Vikram Lakahampal. So they are they are inspired by the fact that in their countries, that's Nigeria and India, we do not have so much access to tech opportunities to learn animations, opportunities to learn coding and the rest of that. So last year, they decided to bring this opportunity to Nigeria. And one of the reasons why we reached out to you is because we do not have so much talent that's focused on animations currently. So it's really beautiful to have someone like you that has grown in the animations industry. Thank you so much for your impact, Ma.
Well, thank you very much. It's my great pleasure being a part of it. And then I have a big passion for education from the children, from the college, young adult. Any chance I can really be connect with anybody who has interest in learning about animation and making animation, I would love to be a part of it. So this would be a great starting point. Now with this Zoom and online opportunity, if there is any workshop that you would like to do, I'm more than happy to be a part of it. And then I grew up in Asia, and then now I live in Los Angeles in United States. So I have a different culture and how every artist all around the world actually get to collaborate together. Possibly we can do that with your artists in Nigeria. That will be my dream. So please keep that in mind. I would love to be a part of it.
Oh wow. Thank you so much. It's quite rare to see people that love to give back to the society these days. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, would like to know, what's your educational and professional background? We'd like to know a brief introduction about your background, how you started, how you got into animations, and then you got to win an award at Lagos State's International Festival of Animations. Well, congratulations on that, though.
Yeah. I think just like any other kids, I love to draw and paint, but didn't really think about what to do with it. It's just a simple happiness, right? And whenever you see something that inspire you, you pick up a pencil, start to draw, full with color. Then when I was at school, growing up, junior high school, I thought that I would love to study a little bit more. So I went to college to study painting, but then painting is beautiful, drawing is beautiful, but then they kind of stay as still image. And I always loved the music. I always loved the movement. And then I thought the animation is a perfect, because you have a drawing and painting, but you also have a movement and you can bring sound and a music. It's really the interdisciplinary form of art that you actually get to work with so many elements. So for me, that's how I got into animation. And back in Korea, I came to the United States when I was about 25. Before that, I was just studying about just moving images and how I can be a part of an industry. But then I learned that there are so much more. There are television show, there are feature film, but then there are so many experimental film that individual artists can do to express their thought and a vision. Especially that you may actually see those film in a lot of different film festival. So that's actually what made me want to come to the United States to study more and getting to meet more people with different culture and how they're approaching the story, how they're approaching some of a concept. And then since then, I was making my own film as well as working in many different studios, mostly in the United States, but often cases we collaborate with studios in a different country, different continent. So I think animation really embraced a lot of differences, and I always love that. And then I think the last 20 years, I work as director, art director, designer, animator in a lot of different projects. Some are feature film, some are TV show, some are commercial and public service announcements. So yeah, there's like so much potential, so much opportunity to get to use your creative minds in animation.
Amazing, amazing. It's quite inspiring to know that you've been in animations for about 2 decades now.
Yeah,
it's like
almost 30 years.
Really inspiring. It's really, really inspiring. I also when I checked your profile on LinkedIn, I noticed that you lecture rather.
Yeah, for me, the teaching is another passion because, of course, I love when I make art. But then so many people, sometimes they go through some difficulty in life and they don't really know how to express that. And then so many wonderful stories they are able to really share with people. And sometimes they don't really know how to do it other than talking, using the words. So with the children or with all range of people, I love to share how they can really have the many different way of storytelling with people. So teaching is just a part of my passion. And I've been teaching over 20 years as well. So that's something that always go well together with what I make as well as how I help them to make their own art.
Wow, amazing. I think from what I can gather from what you said, animations is basically about expressing creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that anyone, absolutely anyone can get into animations?
Anyone. Absolutely. I have a children's workshop with 5 or 6-year-old kids. So, for that age, maybe we won't really spend a lot of time talking about computer software, but we had a paper puppet and they were actually putting their puppet on the sticks and they're simply moving things around with their beautiful artwork. I think that's the beauty of animation, right? Because there's no such rules or restriction. Like you actually have images that you would like to add emotion to it. And then I think that's why I love about the animation. And however, as long as you're willing to really enjoy this creative process, it's open to anybody and anybody can do it. And then hopefully, that message can reach out to all your friends in Nigeria as well. Love to see what they do when I have the opportunity.
Yeah, I think we have very few animations studios in Nigeria. It's not quite popular, but for an event like Lagos International Festival of Animations, I was able to gather like quite a few of them. So the thing is that 1010 coding basically teaches children within the ages of 6 to 18. We teach them animations at the basic level. So we introduce them to it at a very young age so they can learn to explore while they are old. So it's not something it's still something that's developing in Nigeria.
But we can do it, right? I'm happy to actually come to your classroom, and I'm very sure some of my friends will love to do that as well. One day I will get to visit Nigeria. Love to do that.
Well, you're very much welcome.
Yeah.
So what motivates you? What inspired you to get into animations? I know you've talked about your background, but what was the motivating factor for getting into animations?
I think for me, animation is just a part of life. When maybe 20 years ago, I thought that, oh, I need to have this animation skill to have a job and career, which I still have. But as I make more films, it's like sometimes some people write diary, right? Like, oh, I did some certain things today, and then that is the record of it. Sometimes I have a wonderful story I want to tell my friends and family or you. And then it's just sometimes it could be conversation, sometimes through film. But I think a big motivation is that when I make it as a film, especially these days, I can share it with everybody. I can show it in Nigeria, I can show it in my home country in Korea. So it really allows me to connect with everybody. So some of the films could be just my personal story, but some of the films could be about certain message, positive message I would like to share with people. And when I use like writing, email or blog, it might be somewhat limited. But because we have these amazing international film festivals, when I actually get to screen the film in so many different countries, I think that the message is actually kind of going out everywhere. So that really gave me great pleasure that I get to, of course, I get to see other people's film as well. So I understand their life. I get to share a part of my life. And I think wanting to really connect with people and hopefully get to have a good positive influence to others, I think that's definitely the big motivation. And it makes my life so happy.
Yeah. I think one thing I get from you is the fact that you said it makes your life so happy. Like you find fulfillment in what you are doing, and literally that's the essence of everything. So what inspired your groundbreaking project, Yellowshed? What
The
was the
Yellowshed is actually my husband and me. We
Oh,
met when we are working together, and then we wanted to just to put some ideas together what we love about the word, and then some of the design, some of the color is reflection of how we want our word to be. So it's not like a big dream. We are not converting everybody, but there are certain positive messages, right? Like love each other and care for each other, consider others, love the animals, how we actually find our inspiration from nature. Those subjects are very important to me. So whether we make our own film or we actually get to work for our client, we try to keep that in mind. So the Yellowshed is, the yellow means actually moon. And then both my husband and I love the nature. So I watch a lot of documentary from Africa. That's as much as I know about Africa so far, but I would love to visit someday. So we always dream. Yeah, we always dream about having small shed under the moon and being in nature, and without any negative energy, without having any greed for life. We just want you to enjoy the little moments in life. And that's really our philosophy for a lot of our art. And so that's the name of Yellowshed. And then we have been making art for, I guess, 30 years. And then, yeah, it's just a lot of different practices under that name together.
Wow, wow. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful concept.
Thank
Personally,
you.
for me, I like creativity. I like something that, creativity is basically about bringing things to life. So, yellow shed concept, it's really beautiful. And the fact that I think one thing I picked from what you said is that the fact that you can think about something and then you express it in your animations, it's literally one of the things I want to teach the kids, because creative thinking skill is one of the skills that's required in so many jobs of today. So it's a beautiful thing to see that we have pace setters that have gone far doing something like that. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
So, how would you say you arrived at where you are currently? Did you start at an early age?
Like at the school degree?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had a painting degree from undergrad college in Korea. But then when I really wanted to study more about animation, I came to United States to attend a school called California Institute of the Arts. So that is actually founded by Walt Disney, the animation guy. So yeah, there were a lot of really good animation classes, and I got to learn a little bit more about that. Then after that, I really pursue a lot of different studios to learn a lot of different method and techniques from different directors, different projects, and a lot of different artists and colleagues. And then I think that's kind of how I continue to do what I love to do, and hopefully I get to do it 30, 40 more years.
Okay, so you say you started at an early age. You were exposed to animations at a very early age. Okay, amazing. So at that point, can you record any monumental achievements, like something that defines your career, like the flagships of your education? Sorry?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to achievement, finishing film and get to screen in a film festival, I think that for me, it's the most meaningful thing. I received some of our awards in a film festival and then, other occasions, but I mean, award is always a good, like this time, but definitely getting to show to the audience and then knowing that they actually got to see my film, I think that is the most important thing as achievement. I don't know that actually works that way. Yeah, and then the few big projects such as Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball, I was working as a co-director for the end title sequence because it is quite famous project. People do give you a little bit more attention after finishing some of those projects. But recently, I do focus more on my personal project and spend more time in teaching. And then I would love to make more campaigns. I mean, the animation that was screened at the Lagos Animation Festival, that's a part of the campaign I'm doing with my students about the animal and the nature preservation, animal welfare. So those are the animation that has a positive messages and it can really reach out to more people. So those are more main focuses these days instead of kind of working with the commercial industry. But I do both, and it has a different advantage and disadvantage because clients are different. How we produce the projects are different.
Okay, amazing. So during this process, did you encounter challenges?
Sorry?
Did you encounter any challenges?
Challenges. I love challenges, mainly because that makes you stronger.
Yeah.
To our students, what I always say is that, well, when we have a goals, always is good if we get to achieve all our goals without any problem. But then often case, that's not going to happen.
Yes.
And then more importantly, whenever you have any challenges, you have to think differently. And then you have to break out of your comfort zone and try to figure out what else you can do. And I think in that process, everybody grow a lot. And for me, but sometimes it could be just a financial challenges, animation. Some cases, certain year I have job every single month. There are certain year I really didn't have anything going on, so have to worry about where to live, how to eat. I think that's just a common concern for a lot of artists. Unlike some of other job, we don't necessarily work with the money all the time.
Yeah.
But still kind of working with the condition helps everybody to be more creative. I strongly believe that positive attitude, and then whatever challenges you actually face, there are a lot of wonderful friends and colleagues who probably went through the similar situation. So that I think we can always find a better solution for our art, as well as how we can actually have a wonderful life as an artist. So
Amazing. I like the fact that you mentioned that challenges are basically part of life, daily experience. And then specifically, you mentioned the challenges that had to do with, I think it's a general thing with creative people, designers, artists, fashion illustrators. I think this challenge about not having jobs every time and all of that is a general thing. But how are you able to, have you ever found have you ever been in a situation where you were able to conquer that challenge and make sure that jobs were coming at a particular time?
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree.
So how are you able to overcome challenges like that?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, every challenge is very different. Probably something I thought the most difficult things to do 20 years ago may not be the same thing these days. And then instead of having one way to solve the problem, because we change, we have a different motivation, we have different influences, inspiration from so many different people, so many different situations. So I think whenever there are any challenges, and we'll just think about what is my vision? Why do I do what I do? And then there's always a solution to make that positive resolution for it. So I think the important thing is embrace it and then see how we can grow through those challenges. Then I think always there are good results at the end.
Wow, amazing, amazing. It's really beautiful. So how will you advise someone like a young child or a teenager in Nigeria? How will you advise them if they plan to get into a career in animations and most especially in the tech industry? What do you suggest that is the pathway for them to get into a career in animations?
Yeah, I think maybe I can talk about two different ways, because I don't really know the situation in Nigeria. Like you said, that there's not much actually going on. So it depends on what you are able to do. The youth and students and adult artists in Nigeria can really start something together. That might be one thing, but I can give you some example. When I started animation in Korea about 30 years ago, there are a lot of companies, but they didn't have a lot of creative content. They were actually mostly working for companies in United States to do some like a labor work. But last 20 years, that changed a lot drastically. And then a lot of young students, young artists really wanted to start something. They develop their own content, they develop their own art, and really promote that to different countries. So I think that there are a lot more awareness of what's happening in animation art in Korea. So they are really sending out different show to United States these days and Europe. So that would be actually a good way. I'm sure that you have so many talents already in Nigeria, just maybe didn't really have the established culture. But great thing about that is you get to be the pioneer, right? Because you get to be the one who start this culture and be a history of all these new development. And then I think that is exciting. Always the first generation who really start certain movement, I think they are a lot more passionate. They are in charge of what they can really build together. So I think there are so much motivation already, and I'm sure a lot of artists, they already inspire each other. As I said earlier, if you would like to have any connection with any other artists all over the world, I'm very sure that they will be fully supportive. I'm fully supportive. And then if the student, the people in Nigeria wants to have a career in a different country, then I think that these days that there are a lot of contents and then lesson classes online, and a lot of them are actually free too, so you can just find the resources and learn. And then there are so many different ways that we can make animation. We don't need a computer to make a good animation. We don't really need a fancy equipment to make animation. I think anybody who love to create something and want to combine with motion. I always start with my animation class with what we call optical toy. So it's just like a round paper, and then you put the sequential drawing, and when you flip it, the things are moving. So all you need is a pencil and paper to do that. So I think just like enjoy this process as part of it, and then that knowledge and skill will lead to the next step. There are schools that offer some scholarship, and these days, because of pandemic, of course, we all through the world went through some difficulties, but more and more companies are actually hiring artists all over the world, and then you can actually work through internet. So you don't even have to move to United States to work for a company in the United States. And then that's really wonderful thing, because I mean, if anybody would love to go to different country, hope that that is an option as well. But just because you are in a different continent, I don't think that is the obstacle for not being able to be a part of it. So hopefully that two option can provide good options for artists in Nigeria, and get to see more art from all of you soon.
Wow, interesting. Like that was quite detailed, explaining the journey towards getting into animations. I think I took note of the part where you said there are videos online already. There are a lot of materials online. So anyone interested in getting the skill animations should check it online. Basically, what we do is that we give them more than the videos online. We have live classes, it's usually online. We have live classes. We give them projects. Like, for example, for a child that likes Dora the Explorer on Nickelodeon, we give them that kind of project. We tell them to design something like that. We teach them how to do it. So that gives them like an intensive process of what animation really is. So I really appreciate the fact that you said animation is very easy to learn. It's not something that takes time. It's just something, it's literally something you can learn anytime and anywhere too, and you can work anywhere with it, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are your plans moving forward in your career? What's your plan?
I think three things I love the most when it comes to the career is I still continue to work for clients, making some commercials, or if there's an opportunity, I work on other TV show. I'm developing my own film, which is about elephant in Africa. I don't know if you actually saw that film with the elephant one.
Yeah,
So I really love to develop that as a TV show. And then maybe I get to visit you and do more research. That would be lovely. Maybe I get to work with your artists to work on that.
Love to meet you.
Yeah, and then I have my personal film And then sometimes when I make a certain animation with for the audience, it may have a certain style, like more kind of friendly, recognizable, so that people get to connect better. But my personal film often has abstract images, so get to just have a different way to explore how I can really communicate with the audience. But then a third option is, of course, the teaching. So I think all three of them work together, because whether I get to develop my own show and work with the client, a lot of my students want to do that as well. They want to build their career. They also want to make their film. So whenever I get to have any stories, experience, of course, I would love to share with my students so that they get to learn from that. And every single student of mine is like 10 times better artist than me. So my job as a teacher is really to foster that spirit and let them know they can do whatever they want it to be, and make sure that some of things we discuss, if they feel that there's any challenges and difficulty in life, make sure that they use that to grow, not to give up, right? So yeah, I think that is something I have been doing and something I will continue to do. And then in short, what I always tell my students is everything we do is for happiness, because we want to create art because it makes us happy. We want to deliver great messages because it makes other people happy, which makes me happy. So I think it's just my philosophy of life is very simple. Let's be happy and do wonderful things and care for everybody. And I think if everybody has that mindset, any activity of art is something that we will always cherish and enjoy.
Wow, amazing, amazing. I think I like the fact that you said you teach your kids to be 10 times better than you, literally. That's beautiful. And that's the goal of encoding, to make sure that all our artists come out 10 times better than they eventually get into the program. Glad, and we're so privileged to have you, Soyeon Kim. We're so privileged to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your dreams, your visions, and for sharing your process on creating the movie Yellowshed, which eventually won Lagos International Festival of Animations. Thank you so much for coming today. We are really grateful.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's my great pleasure. And then hopefully I get to have a more opportunity to meet you, and maybe in person sometime.
Yeah, hopefully. Do have a nice day and keep inspiring people. Thank you for inspiring them.
Thank you.
Is there a career path you're interested in learning about? Drop us a message and we'll work on it.